All right. Next up, I am so excited to introduce entrepreneur and designer Rebecca Minkoff. I'm going to invite her on up here onto the stage to join me for an intimate chat.
I designed my first handbag without knowing it would change everything. It never starts out the way you intended. I originally made the bag and designed it for a celebrity who was going to be in a movie. It was going to be my one chance to make it big. I decided to sell the bag. Daily Candy found out about it. A prominent stylist put it in her store in LA. And from there, it was like something that launched out of a rocket ship.
Hello. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you've experienced as a founder.
I think if I were to share all of them with you, you'd probably run out of the room. But the notable ones was when we first started out, we couldn't afford quality control. And we were working overseas with our first factory. And I was like, well, they make for Michael Kors and Kate Spade and Tory Burch. They have quality control, right? Wrong. There was a very popular forum at the time when this was again before social media. So women would log on and write about their passion for handbags, excuse me. And they said, we've given Rebecca a new nickname. It's called Rebecca Spankoff because there's Kate Spade hardware in her bags. And I had to go to Saks Fifth Avenue and inspect it for myself, and lo and behold, Kate Spade hardware on the interior of a Rebecca Minkoff bag. And to call your buyer at Saks Fifth Avenue and say, I'm so sorry, this is the most mortifying thing ever. And then I was like, how do I get rid of these bags? How do I have them sell through? Because if we take them all back, we'll go out of business. And so I was like, Willy Wonka time. You get a bag from one of these stores, I'll send you a free one on behalf of my factory. And so that was definitely hard. And there were moments like that. You know, I have a newsletter on LinkedIn called You Can't Make This Shit Up. Because as founders, we experience a lot of these moments. I think another signal moment was cash flow. You know, we bootstrapped for the first 7 years. And to do that when you're constantly trying to be creative is really hard. You know, when you're using and rubbing pennies together to do things and be out there and then not know if you're going to make payroll.
Wow, unbelievable. So how do you separate the Rebecca Minkoff brand from your personal brand? Because that's got to be hard.
Yes, so I had to disassociate from my name. When we sold the company, we sold a piece of the company in 2012. And from that moment on, I had to say, okay, there's a name and a brand out there, and I am that woman living that lifestyle, but then I am also my own person. And that person has other extracurricular interests and activities. And obviously the two things clearly intersect and overlap. But I think there had to be a sort of a line in the sand of, if you take me, and not to sound like I'm talking only about myself, and if I'm in New York City and I'm at the pinnacle and the most fashion forward for our girl, how do we distill that and sort of create almost like a pyramid of what it looks like for a woman in Idaho or Missouri or Wyoming, where fashion isn't as accessible or affordable? And so I sort of said, okay, good, if I'm the most concentrated version, what does it look like as you distill it down? It's distilled down by a stud on a flip-flop, right? And so as long as it talks back to the mothership in some way of, we're known for bohemian, edgy designs, studs, zippers, tassels, a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of masculine, feminine. As long as that connectivity is happening, then we're able to expand what it looks like for people who don't have access to the fashion that exists in a lot of our cities. And then, the person is who I am. As I've gotten older, like I try to infuse into the brand things that are important to me. Women are important to me. Female founders are important to me. Making sure mothers are supported in the workplace is important to me. So all that goes into the brand as different pillars that show up, whether it's my nonprofit Female Founder Collective or my podcast Superwomen, where you can get a dose of daily inspiration from other women that have done hard things, or my newsletters. And so I think I'm trying to touch all those aspects using the brand, but definitely having more depth than just trying to sell you a bag, which all of you should definitely get a bag today.
that's a big puzzle, and that must make social media really hard. So how do you stay authentic on social media, making sure it's a balance both between what I assume is yourself and your brand?
So for the longest time, we just had one handle. It was just Rebecca Minkoff, and it became hard to push all the messages that are important to me on one channel. So now that channel has sort of been clarified, it's also not owned by me anymore, even though I run the channel. And so, that is very clearly its brand. It's me as the spokesperson. It's me as the designer. It's my podcast. And then when we have big, important female founder collective events, then we're showcasing that. I think where I've grown my personal is I'm very much into health and wellness, motherhood, weightlifting, anything that's sort of ancillary to that doesn't make sense then goes on my personal, and that's a channel I control and own. And you get different slices of my life on both. If you want to feel like you get the full picture. Got it. And the other thing I'll say is you sort of have to get your discipline in, because there's this desire to just show everything.
Right.
But, me showing my kids misbehaving at a restaurant doesn't make anyone want to buy a bag or aspire. So I think it's also being really clear on what makes a woman want to buy into your brand. And that doesn't mean you're fake. It just means you're authentic about what would inspire her. What would be, I could entertain her and make her laugh. Does that make her want to buy a bag or be a part of the brand? Not necessarily. So it's also getting clear on what you're showing and how you show it. And you don't have to show everything to everybody. You don't have to lift up your pants all the time. It's okay.
So I guess it's fair to say that there's glistenings of just like a deeper understanding of who that target customer is on both channels, no matter what, right? It's going to always follow you.
Yeah, and you have to, a couple years ago, I did like a follow me all weekend, see my kids misbehaving, see me doing the ugly mom in the morning without coffee look. And the views were 10 times higher.
Wow.
But it's not going to convert someone necessarily into what you want them to do. It's going to entertain them. It's going to make them laugh.
Right.
But so I think you also have to know your value proposition when you're showcasing that stuff. What is the purpose of it?
Right. Being authentic and how it's actually going to service you or service the brand. So relevancy is a conversation that constantly and consistently comes up. It's actually something that drives me crazy. But how do you continue to stay relevant day in and day out? Because that is a job in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
Especially when it comes to the ever-changing landscape of social media, which we all just learned about because we paid very close attention to my presentation.
I think I try and channel Madonna. She's always reinvented herself. Every album was a reinvention. Every song now, single is a reinvention, and it's exhausting. And it's up to me. I don't have someone telling me what the next thing is, and so I'm constantly like, what am I feeling that's out there that's happening? What we're going to do for Fashion Week is something I wanted to do probably a year ago, but we couldn't figure it out in time. We're launching stadium approved bags. And so how do we fully make that an ownable moment for our brand? And I don't have anything planned for after that, but you better believe my wheels are turning, like, how am I going to be relevant for next February for Fashion Week? Well, there's a woman who has this crazy cult-like following of girls that play trivia games on Zoom. And her following is insane and her engagement is insane. So it's like, how do I partner with people that are doing new and cool, interesting things? Because to do the norm now is really costly. To do a regular traditional fashion show, bare bones is $250,000, and that's without doing anything extravagant. Wow. So if you don't have that kind of funding, which we don't do, how are you creative and lean and nimble in doing these things? And we're doing our big Fashion Week activation for under $50,000, and it's going to be a huge, exciting endeavor. So I think thinking like that also doesn't mean you have tons of dollars to spend. We've never had huge budgets, ever. And so you have to get really creative too.
I'm really excited about that stadium bag.
Me too.
I'm going to the US Open tomorrow. I could really use it. Okay, so can you talk to us a little bit about your experience with InMode as a brand and just overall as a partner?
Yeah. So I would find myself really distracted on all my Zooms and my recordings, and I'd be going like this a lot. And I would be like picking at my neck, going like, oh my God, this is terrible. I need to do something about this. So I was really excited when I tried Forma and instantly saw my turkey neck go away. And so that was just like something that for me is life-changing. And then I've been getting my Morpheus on my stomach. I have 4 kids. Things don't look the way they did. And so I'm in the middle of my treatments there. And so I'm excited to see the results come through because I don't want to get a tummy tuck. I don't want that scar. And so this is my way to hopefully get that elasticity back and have it not look like one of those puppies with all the wrinkles after my treatments. No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure, no pressure. We're ready. Okay, wow. This has been incredible. So thank you so much for taking some time with us.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave the audience with any parting words before we wrap up?
Well, I would say that you are all in an incredible industry that I feel like is only getting hotter by the moment due to the fuel of social media and women never feeling satisfied with our looks. And I would just continue to say, like, enjoy that ride because I think beauty is an incredible business to be in right now. I wish I was in it. Maybe one day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having me.